Greetings, YouTube. I'll be discussing gaming systems that have levels. Though they could be any gaming system that has a level. Didn't matter which. I will probably be referencing Pathfinder or D&D, but any gaming system that has levels would be covered by this topic. So last night I found myself thinking about metaplots. Now when our characters start out at zeros, and I prefer the zero to hero idea, I like characters starting out at next to no abilities whatsoever, and then becoming godlike beings as they get more powerful. It's just my jam. Yes, I know that's an anachronistic turn of phrase. My wife smiles whenever I use it. When they start out at that zero level, they encounter events that are commensurate with their zero level. So your first level characters out of the gate will be taking on kobolds and goblins that are just as small as they are as far as power is concerned, or ordinary animals, or weather encounters, or things that are low level. And as they raise in power, the encounters they have will raise in power as well. This seems to make perfect sense. You want the characters to be challenged, essentially riding the crest of a wave. And if you do a good job, it'll just ride right off into the sunset until they finally retire the characters, or the campaign world blows up, or what have you. It depends on how you want your campaign down, I guess. But it got me thinking. Why is it always like that? First level characters encounter first level encounters. Why? Well, obviously, because we want the characters to survive long enough to be second level characters. But doesn't it make sense that if the characters are living in a kingdom, in a region of that kingdom, that there might be encounters of varying levels in that one area? And yet, the player characters never encounter those, do they? They only encounter ones at the same level as themselves, or slightly higher if you're being challenging. Now, in some places, some games, for example, video games, we have some explanations for that. For example, some games have distance. So where the game starts is the low-level encounters, and as the character gets more and more powerful and can move further and further and further, sometimes there's hard walls in the way. For example, you can only move so far on foot, then you have a horse, then you have like a boat, then an airship. So you have to hit certain milestones before you can move on to the next zone. But the reality is that the further and further you get away from the beginning of the game, the more and more powerful the encounters become. And when the map says there be dragons, that's because it literally means there be dragons. They're way out there, and you're not going to get to them for a while, because if you get to them too soon, you are going to become dragon toast. So, that's how some video games handle it. But some video games have scaling, so that if a third level party or person, if it's a single player game, goes into a dungeon, they're going to have third level encounters. But if that same character or group comes back at 30th level, the encounters will then be challenging to 30th level characters. But what happens if the 30th level characters walk out and third level characters walk in after them? What's going to be the challenge rating for those third level characters? Are they going to be facing 30th level challenges? No, of course not. They're going to be facing third level challenges. Now you could say, well, you could put a spin on it and say that the 30th level party just wiped out the 30th level challenge, and all that was left alive for the third level challenge, which is a lovely bit of hand wavium if there ever was some. But we tend to just gloss over this stuff. Now don't get me wrong. We, and I mean the collective we, the gaming community at large, has been glossing over this for 40 friggin' years. We never worry about the fact that first level characters only get first level encounters, and 15th level characters get 15th level encounters, and never the twain shall meet. Because let's face it, if your first level encounters meet 15th level encounters, you're going to be rolling up new characters. Or your characters just became slaves. And that's a different kind of campaign. Maybe that's something that you want to do, and have the characters fight from within, that kind. But I guarantee you, even if they're fighting from within to get out, they're going to be fighting challenges that are exactly the same levels they are themselves. And this is probably a nonsense topic. Let's face it. We're not going to change the way this is. Third level characters are not going to be taking up on more than third or fourth level encounters. And we're not going to throw 15th level characters against first level encounters, unless you just want to have a few mooks in there that the main party can just swat away like flies, so that before they get to the actual bad guy who's of the 15th or 16th level encounter challenge. But I mean, we still have some mooks involved. For example, I'm an aficionado of the whole one-hit, two-hit mooks. So you have mooks that you hit once and they're gone, or you have mooks that are tougher and you hit twice and they're gone, and you don't have to worry about hit points and all that crap. Have the player characters hit this guy twice? It's dead. Move on. And sometimes that's nice, because I think you really want to make sure that a higher level character has a sense of power. And one of the ways you can do that is that when they were being challenged at first and second level by those kobolds, when they're swatting kobolds like flies at 15th level, that's a measurable encounter for them. They'll remember, I remember when those guys were a challenge for us. They cleaned our clock on more than one occasion. But now, push, and they're gone. Okay, and I don't mind throwing that in there. That makes people have a sense of, we've come this far kind of a thing, and that's fine. I think that people need those kind of milestones to measure themselves against, so they have some idea of how far they've come. Because again, when you have everything scaling up with your player characters, the challenges is almost always the same. So sometimes it feels like no matter what they do, they're never really becoming the heroes that they wanted to become. So throwing in those mooks that allow them to bat people aside helps them understand that, yes, you actually have gotten somewhere. But then, of course, there's also the fact that you're taking on armies, or you yourself are leading legions of hirelings, or your vassals, which have been assigned to you by your king or your liege or what have you, or the empress. So there are other forms of measures of power, what you can do to the world itself. At 15th level, you're beginning to shape the very fabric of reality in most systems. At first level, you're lucky if you can barely dent the fabric of reality itself. The fabric of reality is pretty much immune to your machinations. But, like I said, we've been glossing over this for 40 years. So it isn't going to change. We're going to continue to gloss over this, and that's alright. But I just got myself thinking about the whole concept of metaplots. How we do this, and frankly, we never ever seem to question it. We just do it. I mean, heck, I got binders full of adventures over there that say, 4 parties, X level. And, some of them are in chains. This module is for 3 to 5th, and this module is for 7th to 9th, and this module is for, 10th to 12th. And again, we played them one after another without any questions. And it was okay, and it's okay now. But it does make me smile. It makes me laugh, and I think it makes me think of the fact that the easiest person to lie to is yourself.